We are going to connect our readings today. As you know, I like to do. But we're going to connect them in a slightly different fashion than you might expect. We are going to connect them in a little bit of a practical way, but also a way that can take what we hear from Jesus when asked that oh so important question. Jesus, teach us how to pray. No better person in the world to ask how to pray, and he actually gives an answer, so we should pay attention. This is both a spiritual truth, and it's a practical and daily truth. And so there's a little bit of application here that I want to talk about as well. But I'm going to push through quickly because we have a guest, and I would like to make sure there is sufficient time for him as well. So let's cut right to it and get to the controversy. So then, just as you received Jesus Christ as Lord, continue to live in him, rooted and built up in him, strengthened in the faith as you were taught, and overflowing with thankfulness. If you have been in the church, almost in any church, long enough, you have heard the phrase, I think you've heard the phrase, it's not about religion, it's about relationship. Nod your head if you've heard that phrase. I hate that phrase. That's a controversial statement. I get what it's after. But I think ultimately it's one of those phrases that while it makes some intuitive sense early on, if you push against it, it falls over. It's a false dichotomy to say there's either such a thing as relationship or there's such a thing as religion, and neither the two shall ever cross. It ought to be about both. Our relationship with Christ our Lord, who has set us free and given us life out of our bodies of death, ought to be of paramount and essential importance. There is no more important thing than that. But to say it's about relationship and not religion is to put them at odds in a way that I don't think, not only they have to be, I'm convinced they aren't. And it comes, I believe, from a sense that wants to push back against a rote sense of ritualism that turns non-Christians off, or that allows the semi-converted to stay semi-converted. Well, as long as I do the right thing and I'm a pretty nice person, then everything is okay. And that phrase, it's not about religion, it's about relationship, tries to push back against that. To say, no, if you don't have a living relationship with Christ our Lord, if his Spirit is not alive in you, you have missed the point entirely. And to that end, I would agree. The problem is taking that sentiment too far, because I think religion has become something of a dirty word. What a sad state of affairs. That is what has led to so many people identifying themselves as spiritual, but not religious. As a matter of fact, it is a common trope of movies, of TV shows, and books to have a moment of crisis or great need, and the character or person saying something about, I'm going to pray about that, but I'm not a religious man. As though you have to put that in. And again, it's saying something about our contemporary culture and society that religion or religiosity, religious people, religious feeling or practice is somehow now weird, strange, controversial, potentially illegal. But certainly what those people do, and even very faithful people in the church, eschew the label of religious because it comes across to them as though it is some dead, rote ritualism that is somehow pulling them away from a dynamic relationship with Jesus. And to that I say, you're missing the point. In essence, we are all religious. We just articulate it better than others. We are all religious in the same way that there are no true atheists. Something or someone sits upon the throne of every heart. And when you reject the living God, that vacuum is filled by something else. Power, desire, perhaps just yourself. Everybody follows someone or something, and that process and habit of following is simply your religion. It's not a bad word. It's not a dirty word. You are practicing your religion right now because we came together on a Sunday morning, the Lord's Day. Why didn't we do it on Thursday? That would have been pretty convenient. Why not Monday night? Say between 5:30 and 6. Some way, somehow, you made it here to Sunday morning. What are the odds? What about next week? When should we have this again? Who wants to do it on Friday this week? We've adopted a practice that has been passed along to us throughout the generations of the church. That to acknowledge, to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord on the first day of the new creation, we come for public and corporate worship. Sunday is not a Sabbath. You've heard me say that. Sunday is the Lord's Day. And that is why we come. And we came, what time did we come this morning? Whenever we felt like it? Or did we come at a predetermined, regular time? When we came in. What do we do when we come together on a Sunday? Sometimes we sing and we read from the Bible, and on other Sundays we juggle and read from the newspaper? Or do we have kind of a plan here and sort of a program? And whether or not we are here at the traditional service, or we are here at Contemporary or next door at the traditional service, or if you wind up in a Lutheran church, or in Assemblies of God church, or in a non-denominational church, or in a Roman Catholic church, is there still some element of praise, some element of prayer, and some element of Bible proclamation? That is religion. Anybody ever pray after you leave here? Religion. Pray before a meal? Religious. Anyone ever crack open a Bible outside of dirty religious people we do? Anyone ever developed a habit? Pray during a day. Bible reading or study. Volunteering your time, acts of mercy, charity, and love. Learning to discipline your tongue. Treat one another with compassion and care. Seek to conform our lives to God's will. That is religion. Our faith in practice is religion. It's very simple. It's not esoteric, weird, or scary. Our faith in practice is religion. The habits of life that we take on seeking to follow the Lord, that is religion. And we ought not to be ashamed to proclaim it. That our relationship with Christ is not in word or sentiment only, but it is also reflected in the rest of our lives. In our actions, in our thoughts, in our words, the way we spend our time, the way we treat one another. That's religion. It's not relationship or religion. Our relationship leads to our religion, and our religion undergirds, supports, and helps nourish our relationship. If you eliminated all religious practice, what's your relationship with Jesus look like? One might say, it's no longer there. Put this in a practical sense. I love my wife. I'm in relationship with her. I never see her or speak to her. What a great... Whether it's in the large and obvious ways or the simple and the small. Silly example, but every morning I make the coffee. I make enough for me, and I make enough for her. For years and years, she was never a coffee drinker. And then I corrupted her. Now she loves it. And as a part of my care for her, I always make enough for both of our lives. Even for months when she didn't ask for it, I saw her and I knew, so I kept making it. In a very small way, every morning, even when I don't want that cup of coffee, or even when I don't want to do it right then, I want to wait until when I want it rather than when she wants it. I've made it a habit and a discipline, so to speak, of making her coffee every morning. And every time I put in 4 scoops rather than 2. I'm telling my wife that I love her. It's a simple thing. But our relationship with the Lord is likewise filled with choices, small and large, of how we might allow the Spirit to grow fruit within us, how we might desire our own behavior and lifestyle to reflect His desires and not our own, and how in doing that our own desires will change. Our own will and our spirit will be shaped and formed. We will be discipled and sanctified and become more like Him all the time. You've probably heard the rather silly aphorism about old married couples looking alike. It's kind of true. That doesn't come out of nowhere. But if you think about it, when you live that closely with someone day after day and year after year, where your habits start to coalesce, where you're able to finish each other's jokes and thoughts, where the food is shared, the bed is shared, life together goes hand in hand, how can you not start to become more like each other? If not physically, then in your heart and in your spirit. As the Lord fulfills His promise, which is spoken over you at your day of wedding, that He is going to make out of 2 just one. To say it's always about relationship and never about religion is to say that a marriage is always about the romance and ecstasy of the wedding and never about the day-to-day life for the years on end. And I got to tell you, as fun as my wedding was, the best part's the day-to-day. The best part is knowing, year in, year out, right there by my side. Last night, as a sick little boy, cried and cried and cried in pain, knowing there was somebody there with me. We would take turns to care for him, and either of us would have done anything to make that hurt stop. It is relationship, absolutely. But in essence, it is religion as well, as that relationship is actually practiced on a day-by-day basis. To say only relationship and never religion is, in essence, to chase after that moment of deep emotion and passion and ecstasy and bliss. Those things which are blessed and good with our relationship with the Lord. If it's been too long since you've had that moment of feeling that close to Him, then I want that for you sooner rather than later. There is no more beautiful experience, no more enriching moment than having that sense of profound understanding of Christ's love for you right in that place and in that moment. But we don't live on that mountaintop, nor do we live in the depths of every single valley. And so much of our life is just day-to-day routine. Can that or can that not reflect our love for the Lord and His love for us? I say yes, and guess what? That's religion. There's nothing wrong. I dare say it is good. We ought to embrace it and celebrate it. We continue to live in Him, rooted and strengthened in the faith as we were taught, overflowing with thankfulness. Each of those is active. Each of those is daily. Each of those is a process. To be rooted down deep takes time, and then it allows those nutrients to come up. To be built up requires time and effort, and day by day of growing taller and bigger and stronger. To be strengthened in that faith doesn't happen with a zap, a thunderbolt. It happens in being tested and being nurtured by Him again and again and again. To overflow with thankfulness is not just a one-time endeavor. It should be any time, all the time, any day, every day. And that is religion. To be taught how to pray. And then to do it. Consequences for the northern kingdom of Israel is laid out in Hosea. Is quite simply when their choices, their actions, their behaviors, and their habits pulled them away from the Lord, their relationship was severed. You are not my people. Because their hearts were far from God, yes. But how did their hearts get there? My heart, it's far from you today. See you later. Or instead, like a lot of our moments of turmoil and tragedy, aren't they small steps in the wrong direction? You add up, build, and accrue until you turn around and you think, how in the world did I ever get here? We taught how to pray. Treat God as Father. Trust in Him for our daily sustenance, for forgiveness of sin, to be led in righteous and holy paths, to do that not just once, but again, again, and again. Not just our words, but with our lives. That is affliction. We ought not be ashamed. For our relationship flows into our religion. And our religion helps us express that relationship on an ongoing, daily way. That we might not just say the Lord's Prayer. When I was 7 years old, my father used to call it pumpkin boggin because I had a way of saying it so quickly. That's all it sounded like I was saying. Or to say the words that we were taught, to mean them within our hearts, but to express them daily in our lives, in big ways and in small. It is relationship, yes, but it is religion too. It is about both. So be not afraid. And be not ashamed. Simply ask, and it will be given. Seek and you will find. Knock. Day by day by day, in small ways and in large, it shall be opened